about a number of data visualization techniques that we have in Excel. We will talk about charts, bar graph, line graph, and plot charts. Okay, when you create a chart in Excel, you have to choose the chart type, and there are plenty to choose from. The most common types, the ones that you have probably used. So some of them are like column charts, line charts, pie charts, and scatter charts. There are also several new types of charts that has been introduced in Excel 2016 that you should be aware of and try out. Of course, the appropriate chart type depends on the type of data that you have. Okay? For instance, line charts are especially useful for time series data, and scatter charts are useful for exploring relationships between two columns of data. So in this particular video, we're going to briefly explore the various chart types that we have in Excel. Based on the information provided to you here, you can then experiment with your own data in your various workplaces. Just be aware that it is easy to change the chart type once you have created a chart. Just select the chart by clicking the change chart type, then design and choose a type of chart that you want to work with. Also, you can modify an existing chart of a given type in an endless number of ways. So before we proceed, note that when you select your data, you can always click the recommended chart button at the top. Okay, let me show you that in a few minutes. Insert recommended charts. So this will automatically suggest a chart type that might be appropriate for your data, and can you can select any of these or any others from the remaining chart options. So we want to check with the column chart. So column charts or vertical bars. Sometimes we have an alternative one called bar charts. That's horizontal bars are useful for breaking down numerical variables by categories. For example, on the right here, where each bar shows the sales for some region. So here with me I have four regions against the sales. Okay. If you have two or more series such as quarter one sales, quarter two sales, and so on, you can try any of these 2D options. However, we don't recommend 3D chart types in a corporate or in a business setup. Granted, the data are the fancier, but they often obscure the data, and in general, we recommend keeping it simple. And this goes for other chart types that we'll discuss in this particular video. So, for you to come up with the line chart, the column chart or the bar charts, you select your entire data, then you navigate to where you have your column chart. This is the first option. You click on that. So you'll have a bunch of options from 2D, 3D, 2D bar, 3D bar. So for me, I'm going to start with the simplest one, that is 2D. So I'll click on that and see we have the same column chart as the one shown to the right. Okay. On the bar here, you have a variety of options to adjust from. For example, if you want to see the labels in the charts, you have to click on that and will be displayed inside your particular column charts. So if I want to change this, I'll navigate to the insert, click on column chart, then I'm going to use a 2D bar. When I click on that, this is what I will have. So from here, you have a bunch of ways to rename the title. You can give it a title. For me, I can say column charts, charts of sales for four regions. Okay, let me keep it simple. So for that, four regions. So I've given my column chart a title. Okay, you can also go ahead and give it the axis by clicking on the plus sign here, move to chart axis, then click the check mark there. This will display for you the chart options on the horizontal axis and in the vertical axis. So on my horizontal axis, I'm going to call this regions. Okay. On my vertical axis, I'm going to call this one cells. Obviously, you can have the units in dollars. Okay. So I'm having my well-designed bar chart. That's a horizontal one, showing for me my sales against the four regions. From here, you can get the inferences like saying Southern has the highest sales, that's of $90,000, followed by West, that is $80,000, followed by North, that's $50,000, and then lastly East at $10,000. And that's what exactly we have right over here. So that's how you come with the column chart. It helps you to compare various categories in your data. So the next one we want to talk about is the line chart. So line charts are useful for time series data. What does the one time series mean? Any data involving date and time. So the example here on the right shows how monthly sales have changed during a given year. For instance, 2023. So we particularly like the line chart with the markers. That's the fourth option. Although you can experiment with many other different options to come up with your desired line chart. You can decide to have the line chart with the markers or you can ignore the markers. So let's try and see what you have. Again, I'm going to select my entire data, navigate to insert, then select here the line chart. So here we also have a number of options, all the way from 2D, 3D, 2D area, 3D area. So let me start with the simplest one. That's 2D line. When I click on that, this is what I have. Okay. You notice that here we don't have any markers. We can't tell exactly what are the data points and their values. So I can opt to try a bunch of options here. Okay. The same thing will appear. So to mitigate this, I'm going to go back to my insert line chart. Then I'm going to select that one with the markers right over here. When I click on OK, I'm having my data points. So for me to show the values here, I'm going to click on OK, click on data labels. Once I check that particular option, I'll have all my values shown in my line chart. So from here you can see that the month August had $190,000. That was the highest. And the lowest year for December is $60,000. While the January we had $80,000. And that's exactly what we have right over here. So in sum, line charts help you to show the trend of a given number of time or after a given period of time. To say, line charts are normally used with time series data. Data involving time, may it be in months, dates, hours, etc. So that's how you use a line chart. Now our next one is the pie chart. So we can say pie charts are more ubiquitous. What does that mean? You have seen pie charts being shown anywhere, all around, from magazines, newspapers, and all over the web. This is the hack. Pie chart you normally use with at least 4 to 5 data for you to get the best experience out of it, or to show you the comparison. They play the same role as the column chart or bar charts for breaking down data by categories. However, we prefer column chart and bar charts to any of these circular charts. It's sometimes hard to accurately gauge the relationship when you use the pie charts. Okay, so it's sometimes hard to accurately get the relationship when you use the circular charts or the pie chart, for instance, is one piece twice or larger than the other, three times as larger, or what? These type of comparisons are more obvious in a column chart or bar chart other than a pie chart. So try it out. Let's dive in and select the entire data. Again, navigate to insert, move direct to pie chart. Then you can select the best option you want. For me here, I'm going to use the 2D simple one, the simplest version. Click on OK. Then I'll have all the four segments of my data. So if you scroll by, you can compare the two. You'll see that they're the same. But I can add a bunch of other features. Like I can give it a title saying, I can call it pie chart, okay, of sales across four regions. So on top of this, I can come here and add the data labels for me to see the exact values inside the pie chart. Perhaps I will opt to put the labels outside or on the left side or in the center by moving navigate to the data labels. Okay. Then we'll select the my position. Maybe center, inside, we'll have it in the inside, outside, and will give me the labels outside. Best fit will give me the best fit. That's the default option. Okay. So for me, let me keep it outside end. Why not? So from my spreadsheet, you can see you can have an option to compare how your sales has performed in the various four regions. The north here we have it as from the key here, the north here we have it at 50,000, south we have it at 90,000, okay, and west we have it at 80,000. So that's how you can try out the pie chart. My next chart that I want to talk about is scatter chart. Okay, before I move to scatter chart, let's give it the labels themselves. So someone might opt to see what are the north, what is the south, just right over the pie chart. So I'll come here, okay, click on labels, more options, okay. Let me click on that, options, more options. Then you are able to drag all the key to the desired part of your pie chart. So I'm able to compare that. That's the blue one is for north, the orange one is for south, the gray one is for east, and the yellow one is for west. So I'm able to position this right over there. Okay. Now let's move to scatter chart. Let's move to scatter chart. Now scatter charts are useful to examine the relationship if they exist between two columns of data. For instance, what I have in my right, I'm going to plot a scatter chart for culture column against the sport. So these are the expenses of culture against sports. So we have a family who want to compare how much they've spent on either culture or the sports expenses. So a scatter chart indicates a negative relationship between two particular variables, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. A special type of chart, that's bubble chart, allows you to add a third dimension. So you have the 3D, the third dimension. Okay? The bubble chart to the right here also indicates or shows you, okay, the right sizes that each bubble is proportional or proportionate to the family salary. So if you have a bigger one, that means you have a higher expense. The smaller one, smaller expense, and vice versa. So for you to create it, you can start by regular chart, then change to a bubble chart by clicking the select data from the chart tools design. Then enter the range of the bubble size. So let's see that in a few minutes. Now, with me here, I'm going to compare the amount spent on culture and the amount spent on sports for a sample of family expense. So how I'm going to do that? I'm going to click the entire data that I'm having here, navigate to insert. What am I interested with? Scatter chart. So I'm going to locate where we have scatter chart here. The drop down menu, you will have to option to select the first chart that you want. So I'm going to use the first one, scatter chart, and that's exactly what I want. So from here, I'm able to give it a title. Okay, I can say, I can call it the title as expenses on sport against culture, and that one will show you the title itself. You can also try to give it the axis, the labels, and other particular features that you are able to adjust on, similar to what we did in the column charts. So a more advanced way we can work with is the bubble chart. So I'm going to compare salary for culture and sports using a bubble chart. So let me select the entire data, insert here, bubble chart. So you can have either the 3D, the smooth version of the normal bubble chart. For me, I'm going to use the smoother version because I feel it has a better feel. So click on that, and that's exactly what you have right over there. So here you can also give it a title, give the axis, okay, give it the legends, and a bunch of other options. So you can compare this by just comparing the size of your bubble chart to give you exactly what it indicates. So the next chart that we want to use is the histogram. So histogram is more commonly used. Okay, in most cases we call it histogram and box whisker charts. It was introduced in Excel 2016. That's the box whisker chart. A histogram is a special type of column chart for showing the distribution of data. The data at first bind, okay, what's the mean binding? Give it a given series that is separated into categories, and then the histogram shows the count or percentage of values in each bin. So you have to define whether you want it shown as percentage or to be shown as values. Okay. The Excel histogram uses automatic bins depending on the number of data values that you have, but you can right click on the horizontal axis values, then select the format axis and modify the bins into a number of ways. Maybe from using a range of 222 to range of 555 or range of 10 depending on what you desire. Okay. Now, regardless of the exact bin chosen, however, the histogram shows that salaries are still to the right. So let's see that. Let's see that. I'm going to select. I'm going to select the entire data here. Let me expand this back. Yeah. So I'm going to select the entire data for salary here. Okay. Then I move to navigate. I'm going to navigate to the insert. Select where we have histogram. Okay. So let's see where we have our histogram. There is it. When you click on that, you'll have your data appearing in this particular order. Because the data is moving from left to right, it means this data is skewed to the right. What does that mean? Skewness. Majority of the data lies to the right. Okay. The least values of the data lies to the right, while most of my data are to the left. As you can see I'm mapping all those that are for salaries of around $57,000 100, okay, up to 81,100 will occupy the first section of the histogram. So histogram basically shows you the distribution, okay, or how your data has been skewed. If we could have the inverse, we would say that our data is skewed to the left, but for us our data is skewed to the right. Now, a special type of histogram is the Pareto chart, the second button in the top row options. It is useful for showing the number and the cumulative number of events from different causes. The example below to the right shows the number of failures from various causes. The bars in a Pareto chart always decrease from left to right so that the most likely cause are to the left. So if we navigate again using the same data, insert column chart, the histogram, then you have the Pareto chart itself. When you click on that, we'll have this particular set over here. Okay, so you are able to see that particular line showing you how the data has been distributed. Now that's how you can use histogram. It basically shows you the distribution of your data and the skewness of your data. Now, we also have what's called the box and a whisker chart. They're useful for comparing the distribution of some variables across two or more groups. The example here in the right, okay, shows you or compares the salaries for male and female, whereby the height of each box extends from the first to the third quartile, or what's called the middle half of the data. The line inside the box is the median, and the X inside the inside the box is the mean. Yeah, that line there is what's called the median. Let me expand this to you. You can have a look. From here, you can see where you have the X is the mean, while the line here, the median. Okay. So, essentially speaking, the height of each box extends from the first to the third quarter, and the line inside the box is the median, X is the inside is the mean, and the lines from the box indicate the lowest and the highest ends of the data. For me here, for male here, I'm seeing that the highest is around 140,000, while the least data there is around 60,000. More precise definition can be found in most statistical books. This particular chart clearly indicates that male salaries here tend to be higher more than the female salaries, and it's obvious. You can see that right over here. Okay. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the hierarchy chart. So that's our next visualization in Excel. Hierarchy chart was also introduced in Excel 2016. The two chart types in this category are the tree charts, tree map charts, and the sunburst charts, which are normally used to break down a numerical variable by categories. The example here to the right breaks down average salary by gender and state. And you can use these fancy charts if you like, but we prefer simpler, like the column charts and the bar graphs that we discussed earlier on for better comparisons. Okay, this particular hierarchy charts they basically shows you how to break down. You want to break down a numerical variable by the categorical values. Like here, you can see the gender for female. We have the gender for male. Again, is the seat like female California, male California. So let's try it out. For you to come up with the like what I'm having here is a trim up. I'm going to click on Then I'm going to select the entire data, move to insert. Then I'm going to select where I'm having my tree map. So where do you locate that? Just right over here. So you have the option for tree map and sunburst. So let's try start with the tree map, sorry. And that's exactly what you have. So I can see here the distribution for both Indiana and Pennsylvania for both female and male. In my left, I'm moving the blue side is for female, the distribution against California, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. And this will give you the numerical values. On my right, I'm having the male, California, Pennsylvania together with Indiana. So let me try a bunch of options. So I'm going to click on labels and then I'm going to show. This will give you the values that are already there in your data or the categories. So if you hide them, it won't show you the labels. So let's move to more options and can you are able to give it a title, okay? Give it various formats based on what you want. Now let's try out with the option that we have right over here. I can make it fancy by selecting the next chart here, okay? This one as well, this one here. To change for me, they give different feel and texture based on what I desire. A supporting feature is this sunburst. So for you to come up with the sunburst, again you repeat the step. Select the entire data, move to insert, sunburst, and this will show you a circular option giving you the division of each of the gender versus their states. Like here, on my right, I'm seeing female, the division on California, that's around 81,400. In Indiana, there were $62,000. Pennsylvania, I can say, is $59,000. What about male? On California, I can see there were $97,500. Pennsylvania, they had salary of $45,900, while Indiana they spent $45,200. So this now we have a sunburst and a tree map. They help to show you or help to break down the numerical variables into various categories. So that can be very helpful when you want to come up with the want to showcase the division. My next chart is what's called the waterfall chart. Now, what's a waterfall chart? Just as the name suggests, a waterfall chart is useful for showing changes, usually over a given period of time. This will be gauged from some initial value, and we are able to see or to monitor the trend over a given period of time. The example here on the right shows how companies' monthly salary cash balances have changed over the year, starting from a balance of 50,000 all the way to something like 80,000. Okay, or 180,000, 190,000 is the highest amount. The red here shows you how when the data decline, you will see that will be showed by the red color. Okay, for various months. So this group also includes a stock chart, which are useful for showing the movement of stock prices over time. For those who are in forex trading, you normally use the stock chart to help you show you the movement of the stock prices over a given period of time. So, what does that come in your mind? Is that is aspect of time, all time series. Now, how do you come up with the waterfall chart? Select the entire data, move to insert, okay. Then you want to locate where you're having the waterfall. Where is it? The third option right over here. Then you want to click on waterfall. The first option there, you'll have it. This is how you have come with the waterfall. From here, you are able to monitor how your sales has been moving over a given period of time, of the stocks over a given period of time. You can see the trend is moving upside, downwards, then elevating up, downwards, elevating up, downwards, up to $6,700. That's the last value by December that year. Okay, let's try another bunch of options. Move to insert, waterfall, stock chart. So let's use this. You have that displayed over there. Let's also try another options. Okay, let's try this particular option here. Okay, I have to select the dates. Now we can just keep it simple by looking at the first option, and that's exactly what you have. You can now give it a title, give the axis, give it anything that you want based on your data. So you are able to do that as well. Our next chart here is the combo chart. That will be our second last chart, the combo chart. A combo chart lets you to graph two or more series with different chart types. The example to the right here, using the default options for the first combo chart type, uses a column chart for 2015 sales and a line chart for 2016 sales. Of course, you can change the either of these chart types based on what you desire. So, in simple terms, a combo chart lets you to graph two or more series with different chart types. That's it. You can combine that. How are you to come with this particular option? I'm going to select the entire data that I'm talking about, sales 2015 and 2016. Okay, together with the months. So I have three columns here: month, sales 2015, sales 2016. I'm going to locate where I'm having my combo chart. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, you have the line, this column chart. You have the histogram there. This is the surface chart. Okay, then here eventually you have our combo chart. So combo chart is just after the static chart here. So come and click that over here, and then you select one option. Ideally speaking, combo chart combines two, column chart and line chart together, and will either shows you the distribution together with the trend. And I believe that's a very good idea when you want to combine the two in one place. So can give it a title here. Can say, let me say, combo charts of monthly sales 2015 and 2016. Can now edit it as based on what you decide. Let me make it bold. Let me change the color something like okay, let me put it orange. I like orange. Okay, so you have your chart there together with all the axes. You are able to compare that as well. So that's how you use combo chart. Basically, it combines the two charts into one particular graph. Like for me here, I can see the line chart together with the column charts combined. That's why it's called the combo. Combo with the right combination. That's it. So let's move to our last chart here. That's the radar chart. You can try this chart if you like, but we don't recommend them. Like we don't normally use them. Okay. If your goal is to explain the data in the clearest possible way, and this should be your goal, then some other chart type is almost usually a better option. Like we don't normally use the surface or radar chart. Okay. Now, we normally use in data visualization, okay, for those who are in data analysis, business intelligence, and data science, they normally use the line chart, column chart, bar graph, pie chart, histogram, and maybe the box plot. Those are the most essential visualization techniques that you have to master. Okay, so that marks the end of our data visualization techniques that we have in Excel. In summary, you can see what you have talked about. The column chart right over there, the line chart show you trend over there, the pie chart show you segments over there, scatter charts to show you the relationship over there. Like you can see this is a weak distribution. Okay, bubble chart over there, histogram very useful together with the box plot show you either the outliers or maybe the mean or the median is just in a just single S. Very easy to work with. Then navigate to the not commonly used the hierarchy charts, the waterfall, combo chart, and the surface or radar chart. So that's it for data visualization techniques that you've captured in this particular video, and it will help you in your future visualization techniques or EDA uh, for your data analysis and those who are in business intelligence. Thanks so much for watching and see you in the next video.